You're listening to the MTG Sold podcast. This is the week of August 10th through August 16th, 2026. Hi, welcome back. Thanks for listening. Let's jump right into it. Last week I told you to watch the Hobbit collector booster display at $850 when the listing gate opened on the 14th. It came back at about $811, down 5% on nearly 600 boxes and 482 grand in revenue, still clearing about 6 times its shelf. The seller pool grew nearly 60%, and the box kept turning at a pace that hasn't slowed down since pre-release. If you were waiting for release day to test the premium, there's your answer. The whole set repriced lower. That's what happens when a listing gate opens and individual sellers pile in on TCGPlayer. The bundle tripled its shelf from about 100 listings to 272. The draft kit more than nearly doubled. The pre-release pack nearly doubled. Every Hobbit price came down, and the market didn't blink. Revenue across TCGPlayer jumped 9% on the week, nearly $1.4 million, because volume grew faster than prices fell. The pre-release pack is the clearest example. Price down about 15%, but units went from 773 to 930, and the pack still turned over its shelf about 1.5 times in a week. Sellers flooded in, and buyers absorbed every unit they brought. Release day itself did about 2,200 units and 437 grand, nearly double any other day of the week. The non-Hobbit side of the market grew too, roughly 527 grand versus 464 the week before. So this wasn't just one set carrying the board this week. The scene boxes kept falling, third week in a row. Crack the Plates is down to about $49, $7 above MSRP. Treasures of Smog came down to about 76. Both are still turning through their shelves at about 1.5 to 2 times a week. So people are buying, sellers are undercutting each other, and the shelves drain anyway. I've been calling these two the competition gauge since pre-release week, and if you're watching the set's margin picture, they're the canary. When Crack the Plates hits MSRP, some of these sellers walk away, and whatever demand is underneath the crowd reveals itself. Outside the set, the Marvel Collector Booster Box lost 44% of its shelf this week. Average listings from about 202 to 114, price up roughly 9% to about $475. Fourth straight week of drain, and there's no restock coming on this product. The standard Marvel tiers are flush. The Play Booster broke 1,000 listings for the first time, which is the biggest pile in the dataset. But the premium tier is finite supply being consumed, obviously. If you've been watching this one, the clock is running. At the current rate, the remaining shelf has a few weeks before the price starts moving in jumps instead of ticks. My guess is the buyers here are stores cracking boxes for singles and collectors locking in sealed copies before the supply dries up. Either way, the math only goes one direction from here. The Edge of Eternity's Commander Deck's set of 2 has drained for 5 straight weeks. Last week I said if it kept going while its set reversed, it'd earn its own write-up. The set reversed. Edge of Eternity's Play Booster surged about 44%, and this product kept draining. Average listings from 93 to 74. The price barely moved, about $75 now, about 75 5 weeks ago. That's steady buying without chasing the ask. And I don't know who's doing it or why. Maybe it's a store working through their allocation at a fixed price, or maybe someone's figured out a commander synergy that makes the pair worth more than the components. Either way, the pattern is distinct enough now that I'm tracking it as its own story. A couple of things showed up for the first time. Both reality fracture displays, the Play Booster and the Collector, are draining pre-order supply about 6 weeks ahead of the October 2nd release. The Play Booster is moving at about 1.3, sell ratio of 1.3. The Collector is about 1.1, and combined they did roughly 65 grand on 253 units. Standard early pre-order positioning, but if you're tracking how the market weighs the next in-universe set after The Hobbit, keep an eye on whether that book keeps building or flattens here. The Marvel Jumpstart display might be turning. Supply ticked down about 5% for the first time in the restock streak, from about 573 to 542 listings. The price is still falling and sellers are still growing, so I wouldn't call it a bottom yet, but the supply stopped building, and that's the first step toward one. Star Trek. Last week's third watch item went quiet. Play booster display barely moved. Sellers actually left. No anomaly flags, nothing new here. In geography, the seller map flipped back. Washington reclaimed the top supply state after California took it last week. Seattle went from about 5,200 units to 6,400, and the total seller pool grew from 493 to 551. 3 things I'm watching next week. First, The Hobbit in week 2 of open market pricing. This week set the floor. The question is whether it holds when the seller pool has had a full cycle to list, or whether competition keeps grinding it lower. If you're looking at the set's products, the gift bundle is the one about to face a supply shock. It doesn't officially release until September 4th. It's at about $250 on a 27-unit shelf, and that scarcity premium should get tested when the shipment lands. Second, Reality Fracture pre-orders. Both displays above 1 time sell-through in their first anomaly week. The set drops October 2nd, and how the pre-order book behaves over the next month tells you whether the market has an appetite for another in-universe release this close to The Hobbit. Third, the Marvel Collector Booster Box. The math is simple. Watch for the inflection. That's it. Full numbers in the article on mtgsold.com. See you next week. Goodbye.